Sri Simad, His Divine Grace, Shirabai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Sri Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, ISKCON BBT, Founder Charya, His Divine Grace, Sri Prabhupada ki, Charya Sri Haridas Thakur ki, Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda ki, Hari Nam Sankirtan ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jainita Gaur Primanande. All glories to be assembled devotees, all glories to be assembled devotees, all glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paritana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanditam Scha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sati Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tiribhyascham Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the Supremost Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering the service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed, the practically nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, that becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, is the king of all Vedic literatures. It is the literary incarnation, by the incarnation of God, Sri Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We are continuing from first canto, first chapter, entitled Questions by the Sages. I will just read the text once. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Adhyasya yatonvayat itaratas charteshvabhigna swarat Tene brahmaridaya adhikavaye muyanti suraya Tejo varimritam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dimahi. Translation again. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth, the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. So we had read already a few paragraphs, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the narration of the Swarup of the Lord, manifested by his internal potency. Swarup, we know this word. It is very much utilized. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas. Swarup has to do with our original form or original identity. So here, Prabhupada is explaining that the Bhagavatam is a narration of the Swarup of the Lord, manifested by his internal potency, and that this potency, internal potency, is distinguished, different from the external potency, which has manifested the cosmic world, which is within our experience. So this external energy, this material world, is within our experience. The spiritual world is not within our experience. And therefore, the Bhagavatam is to introduce us to that realm, that transcendental realm. Srila Vyasadeva makes a clear distinction between the two in this shloka. Sri Vyasadeva says herein that the manifested internal potency is real, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory, like the mirage in the desert. In the desert, mirage, there is no actual water. Yeah. there is only the appearance of water. Real water is somewhere else. The manifested cosmic creation appears as reality. We are sitting in that world of illusion. Appears as reality, but reality of which this is but a shadow is the spiritual world, material sky. In the material sky, means the material world, everything is relative truth. That is to say, one truth depends on something else. This cosmic creation results from interaction of the three modes of nature. And the temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned soul, who appears in so many species of life, including the higher demigods like Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and so on. In actuality, there is no reality in the manifested world. There appears to be reality. However, because of the true reality which exists in the spiritual world, there appears to be reality, however, because of the true reality which exists in the spiritual world, where the person with his transcendental paraphernalia. When Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, speaks about knowledge, he speaks about Jnanam and Vijnanam. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the eternal world, the eternal spiritual realm, which is Krishna's abode, Krishna's realm, and the temporary illusory realm of this material world. Is so perfect that this material world seems very real to us. Isn't it? Yes. There is a real, just like, because there is a real world. Just like the tree, the reflection of the tree in the water appears very real. And it only appears because there's this tree beside, a real tree. Yeah. You can take the fruits of that real tree, but you can't take the fruits of the mango reflection in the water. The chief engineer of a complicated construction, this is also an important point, the chief engineer of a complicated construction that does not personally take part in the construction. He hires people. We're talking about contract. He gives it on contract. He doesn't have to even be there. Nook and corner, because everything is done under his direction. It's like, now we've made all the calculations for our 20 or so courtiers. So even if Vijay stays home, he knows exactly.
Not totally like Bhagavan.
Wow. Of course. But you don't have to be here to understand affairs of the material world, which includes, for example, controlling the blinking of the eyes. There's a demigod. Yeah. And according to our karma, if we had a bad karma, then our eyes won't blink properly. Or whatever, or we'll be blind, or whatever. Isn't it? Yeah. Every part of the body and every part of this creation is controlled by agents of Krishna. You can just imagine. They used to think, the scientists, when I was studying at is more complicated than the most complicated city in the world. One atom. To analyze, just imagine, to analyze one atom is more complicated than to study like New York City or any such a big city. So it means that, Krishna's creation is, we say, mind-boggling. We beyond our comprehension. And all of these, I always remember this one section when I read in the Mahabharata. Actually, it's very nice to read Mahabharata. One time I was reading the pastime of Arjuna during his last year incognito, the heavenly planets, Swarga. And to go to Swarga, he has to go to the Himalayas, and there's one of the mountain peaks from the Himalayas, I don't know which one, you can fly to Swarga Loka. So anyways, he was gone. As he was going, actually, he was going on the chariot, and as he was rising, so this is but a small manifestation of Krishna's. So this is being explained here. Similarly, the personality of Godhead, who is the supreme engineer of this cosmic creation, knows every nook and corner, although affairs are being carried out by demigods. Beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, no one is independent of this material creation. Because in this material creation, everyone is being controlled by these three modes of material nature. And the difference, of course, in the spiritual world is that there are no modes of material nature. Yeah. The hand of the Lord from the Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. A chemist can manufacture water in the chemical laboratory by mixing hydrogen and oxygen. But in reality, the living entity works in the laboratory under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And the materials with which he works are also supplied by the Lord. The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly, and he is cognizant of all minute details, and he is He's compared to a mine of gold, and the cosmic creation in so many different forms are compared to objects made from gold, such as gold rings, necklaces, and so on. The gold ring and the gold necklace are qualitatively one with the gold in the mine, but quantitatively the gold in the mine is different. Therefore, the Absolute Truth is simultaneously one, just like our philosophy is Achinta, Beta, Beta Tattva. So Beta, different, and Abheda, non-different. As explained here. Different in quantity, but same in quality. Yeah. That also is explained. Mamai Vangsho, Jiva Loki, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Nothing is absolutely equal with the Absolute Truth, but at the same time, nothing is independent of the Absolute Truth. Yes? We can continue unless there's some question here. But none of them are independent of the Supreme Lord. So it means we also have that ability to create, but not independently. And not in the same, just like those who are living on this planet, their mode or way of creating, if we yawn, we go like this. You know yawning?
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, we don't know what kind of living entities enter. Yeah, that's one reason. There are other reasons also. So we are also creators, but very limited creators. And yeah, the point I wanted to make is that we, living entities on this planet, we create in a very restrained way, whereas higher beings in Swargaloka, I mean Lord Brahma, if we look at the beginning of the creation of Lord Brahma, he creates with his mind, or from different parts of the body, isn't it? For us, we cannot imagine. We cannot. But that is all still not independent, isn't? It is under the control of the Supreme Lord. The materialistic or the materialists wrongly think that there is no creator other than his own self. That is part of our illusion. We think we are the doers. We think we can do things also independently. And it's only when we become very sick we come to know that we are not independent. This is called Maya, or illusion. Because of his poor fund of knowledge, the materialist cannot see beyond the purview of his imperfect senses, and thus he thinks that so many things. So Prabhupada is making the point here, although some people think like this because of a poor fund of knowledge, this is refuted by this sloka by Srila Vyasadeva. Since the complete whole or the absolute truth is the source of everything, nothing can be independent of the body of the absolute truth. Similarly, the creation is the body of the absolute truth, or the absolute whole. Therefore, the absolute knows everything directly and indirectly that happens in the creation. What do we know about the creation? What do we even know about our own body? Isn't it? We have a stomach ache. We don't know how it comes about, and we don't know anything about it also. We have to go see a doctor, and most of the time he also doesn't know.
Experimenting. And
try this pill, try this one, try this. Yeah. So when we analyze and when this is presented to us, we can begin to understand we have nothing to be proud about. What do we know? What can we control? But that is actually the root of our disease in the material world. This ahankar. Very, very deeply rooted. Yeah. In the Shruti mantra, it is also stated that the absolute whole, or Brahman, is the ultimate source of everything. Everything emanates from him and everything is maintained by him. At the end, everything enters into him. That is a law of nature. In the Smriti mantra, so there's Shruti mantra and Smriti mantra. Largely, our Shastra is divided into Shruti and Smriti. Shruti means?
Shruti means to hear. Hearing and written. Directly from Guru we hear.
Actually, Shruti, the original Shruti, is what is heard from Krishna. What is directly spoken by Krishna. Lord Brahma, the Vedas are Shruti. They are spoken by Krishna. Isn't it? So therefore, they are directly transcendental sound vibration. Whereas the Smriti means to remember. So Smriti, they are written by self-realized souls. So to understand about Shastra, or to understand about Tattva, we must simultaneously study both Shruti and Smriti. The Smriti actually support and further elaborate, explain the Shruti. So Prabhupada continues, In the Smriti, he was talking about Shruti mantra, and now in the Smriti mantra, the same is confirmed. Yeah. It is said that the source from which everything emanates at the beginning of Brahma's millennium and the reservoir to which everything ultimately enters is the absolute truth, or Brahman. Material scientists take it for granted that the ultimate source of the plenary system is the sun. Yeah, because scientists know that the sun is the most powerful planet. But they are unable to explain the source of the sun. Where does the source come from? Or how is it that the sun rays and the energy from the sun is never diminishing? Herein, the ultimate source is explained. According to the Vedic literature, Brahma, who may be compared to the sun, is not the ultimate creator. It is stated in this shloka that Brahma was taught Vedic knowledge by the personality of Godhead. One may argue that Brahma, being the original living being, could not be inspired because there was no other being living at that time. Herein it is stated that the Supreme Lord inspired the secondary creator, Brahma, in order that Brahma could carry out his creative function. So the supreme intelligence behind all creation is the absolute Godhead, Sri Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna states that it is He only who superintends the creative energy, Prakriti, which constitutes the totality of matter. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva does not worship Brahma, but the Supreme Lord, who guides Brahma in his creative activities. In this shloka, the particular words Avigna and Swarat are significant. These two words distinguish the Supreme Lord from all the other living entities. No other living entity is either Avigna or Swarat. That is, no one is either fully cognizant or fully independent. Even Brahma has to meditate upon the Supreme Lord in order to create. Every day, when Lord Brahma's day is finished, he gets up the next day, or he wakes up the next day, which is after a long time, and then he has to sit down again and meditate. How to do this? What's my duty? Sometimes we get up in the morning, we're a little confused also, but we don't sleep as long as Lord Brahma. So even Brahma has to meditate. Even the most super intelligent living entity in the material world has to meditate. So Prabhupada is making a point. What to speak of great scientists like Einstein? The brain of such a scientist are certainly not the products of any human being. Scientists cannot manufacture such a brain. And what to speak of foolish atheists who defy the authority of the Lord? Even Mayavadi impersonalists who flatter themselves that they can become one with the Lord are neither Abhigna nor Swarat. Such impersonalists undergo severe austerities to acquire knowledge to become one with the Lord. But ultimately they become dependent on some rich disciple who supplies them with money to build monasteries and temples. Atheists like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu had to undergo severe penances before they could flout the authority of the Lord, but ultimately they were rendered helpless and could not save themselves when the Lord appeared before them as cruel death. This is also the case with the modern atheists who also dare to flout the authority of the Lord. That's why Prabhupada had such a strong conviction that he could challenge and defy anyone who professed to be a non-believer or an atheist. Whenever men neglect the authority of the Lord, nature and her laws are there to penalize them. One person was arguing with Srila Prabhupada that I don't listen to anyone. I don't have to bow down to anyone. Prabhupada was arguing, yes, you have to bow down. No, I don't have to bow down. Yes, you have to bow down. No, I don't have to bow down. Yes, by nature you will be bowing down. Nature will fall even before.
Yes.
Yeah. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita in the well-known verse, Yada yada hi dharmasya glani. Whenever there is a decline of dharma and a rise of adharma, O Arjuna, then I incarnate myself. Yeah. So there's, only 2 more pages are there actually. Some discussion on what we have read. It's, yeah. Yes.
We are very much what services are given to us. Somebody is doing very much, somebody is cooking.
Right.
So what we are explaining, purpose is that the Supreme is the person.
The Supreme is a person.
He has a different external and internal energy. Right through his material world. But when we do our services, we are much into observed in our services. But how to know that then whatever we are servicing is it related to our service? How to manifest that Krishna is Supreme and condition that related to our service.
So if I understand your question, you're telling that now we are hearing about these explanations, the internal energy and the external energy and the Supreme Lord who's the controller. But when we do our service, we don't think about all these things. And how do we know that we're doing things properly?
How this will be manifested?
How?
How this manifested? How we come to know that by our services? How come to know that Lord is person is good and is
How do we come to know by our service that okay?
Because we are very much concentrating on
Srila Vyasadeva is explaining.
Philosophical things.
Yeah, the deep philosophy. Fortunately for us, Krishna explains that to those who are nicely engaged in executing my devotional service, Tesam satata jukranam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. So those who are nicely engaged with love and devotion in their service, I give them the intelligence by which they will understand what they need to understand. We cannot fully, completely understand all this subject matter. I mean, the transcendental, especially discussed by very, these are elevated subject matters. And subjects of philosophy is not our strong point in Kali Yuga. Most of us cannot hear philosophy for a very long time. Fortunately, Krishna assures that simply by the conclusion, like Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita, Vedaisya sarvair aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vidavid evichaham. The end, ultimate end and purpose of Veda is to know Krishna. To know Krishna means to engage in devotional service. Therefore, our acharyas explain, those who are engaged in devotional service to the Lord, they are the greatest philosophers. So stop thinking about it. Yeah. Right. The greatest philosophers are those who have accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they're engaged in His devotional service. So we don't have to, tax our brain to understand so many things. Whatever we need to understand or know, Krishna will help us to understand. And of course, it's like, Prabhupada also explains about the residents of Vrindavan. The ordinary residents of Vrindavan, the ordinary gopis of Vrindavan, they never went to school. I mean, they didn't even go to primary school, what to speak of university. But they are the greatest philosophers. They are the most advanced persons because they're fully, completely absorbed in devotional service to Krishna. So, so it is explained by our acharyas that the residents of Vrindavan, their special quality is not how to understand or what they understand of Krishna, but is how to love Krishna. In Bhakti, everything is there. The culmination of Gyan, highest knowledge, is actually to engage in devotional service. That is, the example is there in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He was the greatest Gyani in Jagannath Puri. He had so many students, thousands of students. And but he came in contact with the greatest of bhaktas, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and came to know about Bhakti. So he surrendered and took up Bhakti, yeah. So we should be content and happy and consider ourselves extremely fortunate that we are given this opportunity to engage in devotional service. And of course, when we read from Shastra, especially maybe certain purports like this one, which is full of a lot of philosophy, then we should not think that when we do our service, that we have to think about all of that. We should definitely concentrate on our service. And what we need to know, actually knowledge. What is the definition of the spirit soul, or the qualities of the spirit soul? The spirit soul, like Krishna, is Satchitananda. So actual knowledge is within each and every living entity. And it is Krishna who, seated within our heart, will help us, to understand that knowledge. There are many verses whereby it is explained that it is, isn't it, only by the mercy of Krishna, of Guru and Krishna, that one can actually comprehend or understand subject matters of the Absolute Truth. Yeah. So we simply have to nicely engage ourselves in whatever service, and even the most simplest of service. One time many years ago, there was some discussion among some GBC members. And then at one point, because GBC members, they all have like their particular zone. So at one point in the discussion, one GBC member mentioned, it's not that when we go back to the spiritual world, we're going to be asking, where's my zone? So this is kind of a temporary kind of like designation. So all of us are meant to simply find our eternal position as servants of Krishna in whatever relationship Krishna will gradually reveal to us. And slowly, gradually, whatever is meant to be, because we actually do have a very unique and particular eternal relationship with Krishna, which we have forgotten, you see. But that gradually becomes revealed when one reaches a certain level of Krishna consciousness, yeah.